Hari Om. In the data mining and data warehousing course, we are currently discussing module 3. In our previous sessions, we discussed what is association rule, what do you mean by association rule mining. We have also discussed what are the methods to discover association rule. In this video, we are going to talk about the a priori algorithm. The a priori algorithm is one of the algorithms which is used to discover the frequent item sets from the given transaction database. The algorithm is also called as level-wise algorithm, and this is proposed by Mr. Agarwal and Mr. Shrikant in 1994. In one of the conferences, they have presented this particular paper. And this is the most popular algorithm for finding the frequent item sets. And this algorithm uses the downward closure property which we discussed in our previous session. And this uses bottom-up search method. And this algorithm finds the frequent item sets using the candidate generation. So the candidates are the probable frequent item sets which will be generated from the previous frequent item sets. So the name of the algorithm is based on the fact that the algorithm uses prior knowledge of frequent item set properties. That is why we call it as a priori algorithm. Now before we get into the algorithm, let us take an example of a transaction database and let us see how the candidates are generated and how the frequent item sets are discovered. This is the given transaction database. These are the different transaction IDs and these are the list of items for each transactions. So transaction 1 has 3 items, transaction 2 has 2 items, transaction 3 has 2 items, and so on. Now for the given transaction database, this is how the frequent item sets and the candidate item sets are generated. So we start with one item set. This is one item set and this is the candidate item set, and we are going to calculate the support count for each item set. So it says 6 transactions contain I1. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. These are the 6 transactions that contain I1 as the item. And 7 transactions has I2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. These are the 7 transactions that contain item 2, I2 and so on. Now after calculating the support count, we are going to compare the candidate support count with the minimum support count. So the minimum support count is already given as 2. So, if the candidate support count is greater than or equal to minimum support count, then it becomes the frequent item set. So, if you see all these support count, they are all greater than or equal to minimum support. Therefore, all these items are frequent item sets, which can be denoted as L1. Now, this L1 will be used to generate the next candidate set. So, the next candidate set will be the 2 item sets which will be generated from L1. So, you will have I1 combined with I2, I3, I4 and I5. Then I2 combined with I3, I4, I5. then I3 combined with I4, I5 and I4 combined with I5. So these are the candidates generated from the previous frequent item set. Now we are going to again scan the entire database for calculating the support count of each candidate. You can see here I1 and I2 item set is having 4 as the support count. If you see here, I1 and I2 appears in 4 different transactions. 1, 2, 3 and 4. So in these 4 transactions, we have I1 and I2 appearing together. And if you see I1 and I3, again I1 and I3 appears in 1, 2, 3 and 4 transactions. If you take I1 and I4, I1 and I4 appears in only 1 transaction. So the support count value is 1. And if you take I3 and I4, no transaction is having I3 and I4 together. So the support count value is 0. So once the support count value of all these item sets are calculated, what we have to do? We have to compare the candidate support count with the minimum support count value. So when you compare, only I1, I2, I3, I1, I3, I1, I5, I2, I3, I2, I4 and I2, I5 are having the support count value greater than or equal to minimum support. So only these item sets are frequent item sets. Others are infrequent item sets. So we leave all those infrequent item sets and we take the frequent item sets in L2. Now using L2, in the next pass we are going to generate C3, which will be the candidates of 3 item set. Observe here, the C3 is now generated from L2. That means CK will be generated from LK minus 1. Again, the entire transaction database will be scanned for calculating the support count of each and every item set. So again, item set I1, I2, I3 will be calculated for support count. If you see the transaction database, I1, I2, I3. I1, I2, I3 happens to be here and I1, I2, I3 happens to be here. So only 2 transactions contain I1, I2, I3. Then I1, I2, I5. So I1, I2, I5 and I1, I2, I5. I1, I2, I5 is, this item set is having support count as 2. So only 2 transactions out of this many number of transactions contain I1, I2 and I5. So as usual, we compare the candidate support count value with the minimum support and we can observe both the item sets are having support count greater than or equal to minimum support. So these becomes the frequent item sets. Now from L3 we will be generating C4 and this process will be repeated until no more new frequent item sets are generated. So imagine the 4 item sets are not having frequent item sets. If so, the process will be stopped here and finally the L1, L2 and L3 will be combined together to specify the frequent item sets, which will be the output of this algorithm. So the a priori algorithm will be following this particular process for generating frequent item sets. These are the notations used in the algorithm. So the number of items in an item set is its size called as k, and we are going to call it as k item set. So k item sets mean k number of items are available in the item set. And one very important thing that we have to observe in the a priori algorithm is items within an item set will be kept in the lexicographic order. That is why if you observe here, the items in the item set are represented as lexicographic order. That means I1, I2, I3. So only in the alphabetical order or in the numerical order the item sets will be having the items represented, right? So items within an item set will be kept in lexicographic order. So that is what the example shows here. And in the a priori algorithm, these are the two notations used, LK and CK. LK will be a set of large k item sets, or large means it is a frequent item set. So if it is L1, it is going to be frequent 1 item sets. If it is L2, it is going to be frequent 2 item sets. And each member of this set will be having the item set as well as the support count. So that is what is represented here. It will have the item set as well as the support count. It will have the item set as well as the support count value. So L1 is the frequent 1 item set. It will have 2 fields. One is the item set. The second field will be the support count value. So L2 will have the frequent 2 item sets, which will have the first field will be having the item set. Second field will be having the support count. L3 is frequent 3 item sets, and the first field will be having the item set. Second field will be having the support count value. In the same way, CK is the set of candidate k item set, and each member of this set has 2 fields again with item set and the support count. So that is what we have seen. C3 will be the candidate 3 item set. C2 is candidate 2 item set. The first field will be item set. The second field will be the support count value. So these are the notations used here. Now if you take the a priori algorithm, it is used to find the frequent item sets using an iterative level-wise approach based on candidate generation. This is the definition you can use for a priori algorithm. And the input for the a priori algorithm is the transaction database. And it also has the second input as the minimum support count threshold, which will be provided by the user. The output is going to be frequent item sets, which will be represented as L. And this is the method we are going to use for the a priori algorithm. L1 is the frequent 1 item set. Right, so this is what L1 is in our given example. So L1 will be the frequent 1 item set, which will be represented as L1, and we are going to repeat the process of generating the candidate item sets and finding the frequent item set using this for loop. We start with k value as 2. That means we are going to generate 2 item set of candidate as well as the frequent item sets. So first we have to generate the candidate set. So C2 will be generated from L1, right? That is what our example shows here. C2 will be generated from L1. So that is what it says. Generate the candidate set CK from LK minus 1. So once you have generated the candidate set, we are going to calculate the support count value. So this loop is used for calculating the support count of each candidate. Now the question is how we are going to calculate the support count value. So we scan the entire transaction database, right? So that is what the example says here. Scan the entire transaction database D for calculating the support count of each candidate. So for each transaction T in the given transaction database, we are going to create, or we are going to get the subsets of the transaction database which contains K item sets. Then once you get the candidates, for each candidate we are going to calculate the count, right? So this process will be repeated for all the transactions and for calculating the support count of all the candidates. So each transaction will be taken, and for that transaction generate the candidates, and for each candidate calculate the support count value. This is what we are going to do in this for loop. So once you have generated the support count here for each candidate, we are going to check whichever candidate is having the support count value greater than or equal to minimum support, those candidates will be taken into LK. So from L1 you generate C2 and calculate the support count value here for each candidate. Then check which are the candidates that have the support count value greater than or equal to minimum support, and those candidates will be taken into L2. So once you have created L2, you go back to the for loop with K value as 3. So you will be creating C3. Then for C3 again calculate the support count value of each candidate, then generate L3. Then you go back, K value will be now 4, and this process will be repeated until no more frequent item sets are created. That means LK minus 1 is equal to null set. So if it is equal to null set, that means frequent item set is not generated in the next pass. So there we stop this for loop, and we are going to return the frequent item set, which will be the union of all the frequent item sets generated in each pass. So this is the method used for finding the frequent item set. I'll show you an example of how this is done for each and every candidate with K values equal to 2 for the given example. So let us take this example. So this is the example that we have seen now. This is the given transaction database, and for this given transaction database L1 is generated like this. This is what L1 is. I1, I2, I3, I4, I5, they are all having minimum support value greater than or support count value greater than or equal to minimum support. So all these items are frequent items in the one item set. So all these things are frequent items. Now from L1 we are going to generate C2, right? So K value will be 2 now. Then we invoke the a priori gen, which is used for generating the candidate set. So you generate C2 from L1. So L1 is passed as an argument for generating the candidates. Now when you are going to generate, it will give you the candidate set as I1, I2, I1, I3. So this is what you are going to get in C2, correct? So you get all these item sets. Now we are going to see how we calculate the support count value for each and every candidate. Now what we are going to do, for each transaction T in D. So that means for each transaction T in D. So first time T will be this one, second time T will be this one, third time T will be this one, and so on, right? So for each transaction T in the given database, you are going to take the subset. You are going to take the subset which will be a 2 item set, because K value is now 2. So I take the first transaction I1, I2, I5. From I1, I2, I5 transaction, I am going to get the subsets which are of 2 item set. So you will have I1, I2, you will have I1, I5, then you will have I2, I5, right? So these are the 3 elements here, and these 3, not elements, items, and these 3 items are combined to generate 2 item set. So once you have created this 2 item sets, so that is what this particular step says. For each transaction T, you are going to first get all the subsets of T which are the candidates. So that is what we have got here. All the subsets we have generated. Now once you have generated the subsets, for each candidate C in that particular set, you calculate the count. So you take, for each means this will be the first candidate C, this will be the second. So this is now denoted as CT, right? So this is your CT now. So this is your CT now. Now for each C in CT, so the first time C will be I1, I2. So this is going to be your C. The C for each candidate C in CT. CT is having 3 candidates. So take the first candidate I1, I2. Now you are going to count, right? So when you count, I1, I2 is available here. It is not there. It is not there. It will be counted here again. So now the count will be 2. Then not here, not here, not here. It is here. So count will be 3 and the count will be 4. So that is what is given here as C dot count plus plus. So if it is available in the transaction database, you are going to increment the count, right? So next time again it will go back and it will take the second candidate. The second candidate will be I1, I5. Again I1, I5 will be counted here. So I1, I5 is available here and it is available here also. So I1, I5 is available 2 times in the transaction database. So the count will be now 2. Now the next time again it goes back to this for loop. The next time it is going to be I2, I5 and it is going to count in the transaction database I2, I5 1, I2, I5 2. So you can see here I2, I5 is available in 2 transactions. So it will be counted and 2 will be the value. So this for loop ends here. So it will go back to the second transaction. It will go back to the second transaction. Which is the second transaction? I2, I4 is the second transaction. Now what are the subsets that are having 2 item set? Only I2, I4. So these item sets will not be there. So it is going to be I2, I4. Now there is going to be only one candidate. So you enter here with C is equal to I2, I4 and it will be counting. How many times we have I2, I4? 1, 2, So only 2 times. Let us check here. So I2 comma I4 is available only 2 times. So the count will be 2. So here we end this for loop. Again we go back for the third transaction. What is the third transaction? It is I2 comma I3. So you will have it as I2 comma I3, and this candidate will be taken here, I2 comma I3, and you count how many times? It is 1, 2, 3 and 4. So let us check. I2 comma I3 is having 4 times. So the count becomes 4 now. Right? And again this for loop ends. It goes back. Now the fourth transaction. What is the fourth transaction? It is I1, I2, I4. So for I1, I2, I4, you will be generating the subsets as I1, I2, I4. So it is I1 comma I2, right? I1, I2, I4. So it is I1 comma I2, then I1 comma I4, then I2 comma I4. So these are the 3 candidates which will be available in the given transaction database. Since it is 2 item set, you are going to have it like this. Then it enters into this for loop. First time it is going to be I1 comma I2. It will be counted. So I1 comma I2 will be counted for 4 times. So it will say take the count as 4. Then next time it will take I1 comma I4. It will be counting it. Then next time it will take I2 comma I4. And I2 comma I4 is available in 1, 2, only in 2 transactions. So the count will be now 2. So this process will be repeated like this. So for all these transactions, for each transaction T in D, this process will be repeated. And once it is repeated, the count value will be calculated so that you will have L2 generated. What will be L2 now? So L2 will be generated like this. Now from L2, the same process will be repeated for generating C3. Right? So this is how this particular method works. Now let us see how the candidates are generated from Lk minus 1. So this is the procedure for generating the candidates. Now the candidate generation uses another process called as pruning process. This pruning process will remove an infrequent item set at the early stage itself, right? That is the purpose of having pruning process. So this is the one which is using the prior knowledge. That is why we call it as a priori algorithm. So here generating the candidates uses another function which is infrequent subset that is used for the pruning process. So let us see how the candidates are generated. So for each item set L1. So let us assume L1 is passed as the argument here. Right? L1 is passed as the argument. Now for each item sets L1 that belongs to Lk minus 1. For each item set L2 that belongs to Lk minus 1. We are going to compare this particular condition, and if this condition is satisfied, we are going to generate the candidate. So once the candidate is generated, we check whether the candidate is having any infrequent subset. If so, that candidate will be deleted. Otherwise, the candidate will be added to CK which will be the candidate set. So this process will be repeated for all the items that are available in Lk minus 1. Right. So let us take an example now. I want to generate C2 from L1. So we take L1. This is L1. So this is L1. We are going to trace the a priori gen algorithm. Okay, a priori gen algorithm or procedure. I can call it as procedure also. Okay. So what we are going to do? L1 is this one. This is the input. Now we have to take each item set from L1. So item set small L1 is equal to I1 then small L2 is also I1. So that is what it is having. L1 will be from Lk minus 1. Then for each item set L2 from Lk minus 1. So L1 will be this one, L2 will be this one. Right? We start with for each item set. For each item set. So item set which will be denoted as L2. Again for each item set which will be the inner loop that you denote as L2. So from this is going to be the item set. So you take L1 as this, and again for each item set in L1, so this becomes L2. Now what is the condition here? L1 of 1. So that means the first element of L1, L2 of 1. The first element of L2 must be equal. So that is what the condition says. First element of L1, first element of L2. Second element of L1 and second element of L2. Like that all the k minus 2 elements must be equal and k minus 1th element must be lesser in the second one. If so, we go for joining it, otherwise we don't join. So that is what the condition here. I1 will be taken. I1 will be taken here. So L1 of 1 is I1. L2 of 1 is going to be I1. They are compared, they are equal, but it is not having any second element. So we are not going to take it. So the next time it is going to be I2. This for loop will be repeated. So it takes the second element which will be I2. Again the condition is now first element must be equal or the k minus 1th element must be lesser. So now it is I1 is lesser than I2. If it is so, you are going to join them for generating the candidate. So here the condition, that is this element is lesser than this element. So C will be generated. So how do you generate C? C is now having I1 comma I2. Okay, so they are combined together, they are joined together. Now once the C is generated, you are going to check whether it is having any infrequent subset. So I1 is also a frequent set, I2 is also a frequent set, right? So that is what it says. I1 is a frequent set, I2 is also a frequent set in L1. So you can take this particular C as one of the candidates. So if it is having an infrequent subset, we delete it. Now in our example, it is not having any infrequent item. So this can be added to C2. C2. So this will be added to C2. So add to C2. Okay. Now again the process will be repeated. Now L2 will be I2. L2 is I2. We got this. Now L2 is going to be I3. So in the third iteration it is going to be I3. So I1 is lesser than I3. So we will get the same condition here. You will have I1 comma I3. I1 and I3 both are frequent, so it will be added to C2. Again the process will be repeated. So this time it is going to be I4. It will be I4. Both I1 and I4 are frequent. So this condition will not be satisfied. So it will be adding C2 CK, which will be C is now added to add small c. Add C to C2. Okay. Now again I5 will be taken and both I1 I5 are frequent, so it will be added to C2. So this is how this for loop will be completed. Now once this for loop is completed, the entire process will be repeated now, right? How do you repeat it? This whole process will be repeated for the second element. What is the second element now? It is going to be I2 here. Then first time L2 will be I1. First element is I1. So I2 is not lesser than I1. So it will not be added. I2 comma I1 will not be added. Okay. Then next time, so it will be ignored, right? It will not be added. Now L2 will be now I2. I2 is equal to I2. It is not lesser. So this will not be added. Then what you have to do? The third time L2 is going to be I3. By the time I2 is lesser than I3, so it will be joined, and I2 comma I3 both are frequent, so it will be added to C2. Then L2 will be now I4. Again I2 is lesser than I4, so this will be added. And I5, again I2 I5 will be added. So like that, for next time it will be I3. L1 is going to be I3. L2 will be again I1 I2 I3. So for which I will show you this. So the next time this is going to be I3 and I3 I1 will be compared. I3 is not lesser than I1, so ignore it. I3 is not lesser than I2, so ignore it. I3 is not lesser than I3, so this process will also be ignored. Now L2 will be I4. By the time I3 is lesser than I4, so this will be added and this will also be added, right? So like this, the process will be repeated again and again for generating the candidates. Now you can observe here, each time these candidates are added to C2. So finally, when we complete all the items in the item set. So we have seen the example of I1 and example of I2 in the next iteration, I3 in the third iteration. The same way, fourth iteration will have I4, fifth iteration will be having I5. There we stop this for loop. We stop this for loop, and the C2 will be, whatever is added to C2 will be returned. Where it will be returned? It will be returned here, C2, and this C2 will be taken into consideration for generating the frequent item set, which will be L2. So this process will be repeated again and again until no more frequent item sets are generated, right? Now this is one example which shows with C4. Say for example, let us assume this is L3, right? This is another example how the candidates are generated, how the candidates are generated. So let us say L3 is having these as the frequent item sets. Now in the join step, 1, 2, 3 will be taken, which will be L1, small L1, and this is going to be small L2, correct? This is what we have seen here, L1 and L2. So L1 is going to be the first element here, then L2 will be another element from the same set, right? So let us take 1, 2, 3 and let us take 1, 2, 4 as an example. So in 1 and 1 are equal, 2 and 2 are equal. That means the first elements are equal, second elements are equal, and the last element, the 3 is lesser than 4. So we can produce 1, 2, 3, 4. The same way, if I have 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 5, the first elements are equal, second elements are equal, and the third element, first one is lesser than second one. So it will be producing 1, 3, 4, 5. So these are the two candidates that will be generated. Now if you see here, I am going to take this candidate and I am going to check whether the candidate is having infrequent subset. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is the candidate. So 1, 2, 3 is a frequent set. 1, 2, 4 is a frequent set. 1, 3, 4 is also a frequent set. Then 2, 3, 4 is also a frequent set. So this can be considered as a candidate. Whereas if you see this particular item set, 1, 3, 4 is a frequent one. 1, 3, 5 is also a frequent. But 3, 4, 5 is not frequent, right? So that is what we do here. After generating the candidate, we check whether it is having any infrequent subset. This is the procedure followed. We take the subset and we check whether it is not in the frequent set. If it is not there, we are going to delete this candidate. If it is already available in the frequent set, no issues, we will be taking it to the candidate set. So you can observe here, this is an example of 1, 3, 4, 5, how it is getting pruned. So 1, 2, 3, 4 will be tested for the existence of 3 item subsets. All these 3 item sets are available in L3. So this can be considered as a candidate. Whereas if you take 1, 3, 4, 5, it is tested for 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 5, 1, 4, 5 and 3, 4, 5. So if you see here, 1, 4, 5 is not here. 1, 4, 5 is not here. 3, 4, 5 is not here. 1, 4, 5 is not found. Therefore, this candidate will not be added into, it will not be added, it will be deleted in the candidate set, right? So this is how a priori algorithm works to generate frequent item set. So I repeat, First, it is going to find out what are the frequent one item set from the given transaction database. Then from the k value is equal to 2, it will generate the candidate set which will be C2, and for each transaction it generates the subsets for finding the candidates and their support count. Once the support count is calculated for all the candidates, it will check which candidate is having the support count greater than or equal to minimum support. Those candidates will be added to the frequent item set. So this process will be repeated until no more frequent item sets can be generated. So once all the frequent item sets are generated, combine them together, union them together to get the frequent item sets for the given transaction database. So that's it about the a priori algorithm, which is also known as level-wise algorithm, and finds the frequent item set using the candidate generation, and it uses prior knowledge to prune the infrequent item sets. Thank you.